Hello, all. My name is Frank Sanchez, and I'm excited to be part of this conference for the World Federation Youth Clubs. This organization is an important organization. It is one that provides support and direction for those professionals that help young people all over the world. So I have the great honor and distinction to be part of this opportunity. I also want to thank David Evangelista for his comments and his profound comments. David, thank you for all you do and for providing us with incredible impact and speaking motivational message. My goal here is to speak about something that I think is very important, and that is building relationships for impact and purpose. I've been involved in Boys and Girls Clubs for some 40 years. I am the National Vice President of Sports and Entertainment Relationships for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And in my role, I manage two verticals. The first vertical is to manage all of our relationships with major sports enterprises, Major League Baseball, the NBA, WWE, the NFL, the National Hockey League, all those for the purpose of introducing sports to young people at Boys and Girls Clubs, but also providing brand awareness, revenue generation, and creating some life-changing experiences for kids. The other part of my vertical is to manage all of the celebrity influencers for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, some 160 former club kids that have grown up to do incredible things in their life, but also give their philanthropy back to Boys and Girls Clubs to support the mission of our organization. And in that journey, that long journey of 40 years in Boys and Girls Clubs, 30 years at the national headquarters, relationship building has been probably the most important skill that I've had to develop because each one of these sports leagues and every one of these individuals comes to the table with a different value proposition. And it is my job to quickly assess what is important and what we want to accomplish over the time together. And what I have developed over the last 30 years is just a simple framework for how to develop relationships that provide purpose and impact. But I want to start by saying that all relationships do not have to be relationships that provide purpose and impact. Some relationships can be transactional. And so what I want to start with is the distinction between transactional relationships and transformational relationships. And in my business, and what I try to do is always start with a strong transactional relationship that leads into transformational change. And that transformational change will lead into a relationship that lasts for many years. And when I look at the distinction between transactions and transformational, all of you that work in your communities may have opportunities for a transaction. That may be the ability to develop a new basketball court at your facility, or the opportunity to bring on a new partner to help support what you're doing with kids in your local facility. Those transactions usually start with something that is important to the person providing it to you and what you need to accomplish your goal. And those types of relationships are important because they sometimes handle an immediate need. There's something that we need immediately. We need a facility upgrade. Let's get it done. We need a new staff person to come in and provide support for kids. Let's get it done. Those types of transactional transactions require some important things. And then it comes down to another great mentor of mine, somebody named Kurt Ashman, who taught me this at a young age. Frank, all of these transactional relationships come back to three things: need it, got it, can't have it. What do you need? What do I need? What do you got? What I got? What can't you have? And what can I deliver? And if you can get in those transactional relationships, what those three items are on the board quickly enough, you can get that transaction done quickly, efficiently, and remove a lot of the bureaucracy and a other conversations that slow down the process. So again, you start with, what do I need? I need a new facility, or I need a new tech lab for my kids. What do I got? I got the space. I've got the kids. What can't you have? You can't have data from all these kids. These kids that are coming through here, I can't provide you data. But what you can have is photo with kids. What you can have is an image with all these. So you want to get to that destination as fast as possible. And using that simple formula of need it, here's what you need, got it, can have it, helps you get to that transaction. Now, transformational relationships require additional work. But when you look at a transformational relationship, whoever you're identifying with, whoever you're working with, you really want to understand three things about them. You want to understand who they are. Who are they? What is their background? What are they involved with? What makes them tick? What's their family makeup? Do they have children that are involved in what you're trying to accomplish? What is the purpose of the relationship? What is it that is important to them? And then the final thing you want to, where can you see this relationship going? So again, start with, who are they? Understanding the background. We are blessed right now to have all of the technology to find out the history and the background of anybody who wants to support our organizations right now. We're just a couple of clicks away and we can get a thorough background on who they are. Then understanding what their motivation requires another bit of information gathering. And so understanding somebody's motivation is critically important. And then where can you take this relationship? And that should start early on in the strategic mindset of you developing the rapport with the person. As you're doing this, and as you identify that, you'll find yourself having a clear picture of how this transaction can lead to transformational change for you, your organization, and the kids you serve moving forward. It becomes really clear. I've worked with many people, many influencers, many sports partnerships, and I'll share with Major League Baseball, Boys and Girls Clubs of America has been the official charity for some 25 years. And using this model of who is Major League Baseball, what are they about? Well, number one, they're about fun, and they're about introducing the game of baseball to young people. They want to create the next level of fans. They want to create the next level of fan base that will buy a jersey, that will go into their market and buy tickets. What is important to them? What's important to them is that our young people learn the game of baseball, but also our young people have an affinity for baseball over basketball, over football. How can we elevate their awareness and their affinity for the brand? And then where does the relationship go? Well, the relationship goes 25 years when we're being able to not only satisfy their need for who they are, we introduce baseball to club kids all across the country. What is the purpose? We engage young kids in experiences. We give out thousands of tickets to baseball games so that young people at Boys and Girls Club have that experience, so they have an affinity for the game. They have an affinity for their fan base of the team. And then where does the relationship go? The relationship gets built that now we have a board member on our national board named Tony Regans, that is the executive vice president of baseball and sits on our Boys and Girls Club of America national board. So we took what was that model of who they are, what we can do with them, what's their goal, and where can this relationship go? And we took that model in this direction with Major League Baseball to create what is now a transformational relationship. It's no longer transactional. We do the transactions, but this relationship has led to a transformational change, not only for baseball, as Boys and Girls Club is the official charity of Major League Baseball, but also for the clubs that we serve as we pass through dollars to them so that kids can learn the game of baseball. We do pass through dollars so that we can have renovation projects at local clubs. But the most important thing is where the relationship goes. And that relationship started 25 years ago and still sustains itself because we've looked at this from the lens of transaction and transformational. I want to talk a little bit about in that transformational stage, while you're while you're developing these transformational relationships, there's a couple of important components. There's purpose and there's integrity. And you always want to stay true to the purpose of what you are developing the relationship for. I've had the great pleasure of working with Denzel Washington for the past 30 years as our national spokesperson, and many others. Jennifer Lopez, Shaquille O'Neal. Behind me, you see a statue of the great Evander Holyfield. And I always, in the transactions and transformation of this relationship, I always stay true to what is the purpose of this relationship, so that it never becomes about me. It never becomes about fanfare. It never becomes about my ability to say I'm a friend or a fan. No, I'm neither a friend or a fan. What I am is the broker of a relationship that I want to stay focused on the purpose. And the purpose for us is to help kids, clubs, and the national organization enhance their brand. And so always, while you are involved in developing these relationships and maintaining these relationships, when you get to the transformational side of it, which means that these relationships are beyond 1 year, 2 years, they will be in existence for 5, 10, 20 years, that you always stay rooted in the purpose of the relationship. Why is it important for Denzel to be the national spokesperson of this organization? The purpose of it was for him to be the champion, the face, the voice, the advocate for our brand. I don't ask Denzel to show up to local clubs to do youth of the year dinners. I don't ask Denzel to sign autographs at events. That's not the purpose. I keep Denzel in the purpose. The purpose is to be at the highest level of advocacy for our organization that impacts the entire enterprise. If I, as the manager of the relationship, got involved or utilized that relationship for that purpose, doing things that do not align with why he signed up to be our national spokesperson, I would lose the next most important word in this relationship with a purpose. I would lose the integrity of the relationship. It would go from what we did, what we talked about, which is the who, what, and where. It would go from there to what is secondary and third, and doesn't provide the impact that he signed up for. So always focus on the true purpose of the relationship, and it allows you to always go back year after year after year to align your values, to align what you are trying to accomplish to that purpose. The final piece of that puzzle is integrity. You always have to be in the spirit of integrity. When you have these relationships, if you say it, you have to do it. You have to. One of the greatest lessons that I learned from Denzel was he said, "Hey, Frank, I have you as my advocate because when I work with you, I want plan A to happen. We design plan A. Don't plan for plan B. I want you to make plan A happen." And so always staying in the integrity of what you're trying to accomplish. Last comment on relationships and relationships with a purpose. You always have to understand the value proposition of the other person. What makes them, or what makes this relationship important to them? The work you do is phenomenal. And what you do in changing the lives of young people has a value proposition for anybody, a celebrity, a politician, a local corporate person. You have to design these relationships so that you can assess the value proposition for each person that you're involved with and how you could bring value to them. Let me give you an example of that with somebody who else is in our family. Somebody like Shaquille O'Neal, who is now one of the biggest brands in America. Shaq is a club kid that grew up in Newark, New Jersey. And when you work with somebody like Shaquille O'Neal, I go through the whole process I shared with you. I go through transactions and transformation. I look at who he is and what he's about, and where all those. I've been with Shaquille 25 years. But when Shaquille O'Neal calls Boys and Girls Club and wants to execute on something, I execute on plan A, as he says. But what's important here is I understand the true value proposition of what Shaquille O'Neal, But you have to understand the value proposition of the people around Shaquille O'Neal. And the people around Shaquille O'Neal are his manager. Am I bringing value to the manager of Shaquille O'Neal? Am I bringing value to the publicist of Shaquille O'Neal? Am I bringing value to the security of Shaquille O'Neal? Am I bringing value to the other partners of Shaquille O'Neal? So in developing relationships with purpose, especially when you're dealing with high influencers, and high influencers in politics, high influencers in business, high influencers with celebrities, you have to look at the entire person and look at who are all the influencers that drive their execution, that drive their value proposition, and how can your relationship help make it easy and add value for each one of them? Ultimately, Shaquille O'Neal makes the decision. But if I make it easy for his manager to see the value, if his publicist goes, this is beautiful, it's going to give Shaq some more positive news, some more positive press. If his security goes, hey, Frank, I love the way you're managing it. We're going from point A to B to C, not a lot of interference, not a lot of drama, then everything moves smoothly because I not only thought about the value proposition to Shaq, but I thought about the value proposition to everybody around Shaq. And again, this includes the same strategy when you're thinking of somebody who's a celebrity like Shaq, a politician, somebody of influence, a government official, and also a business official. You should always have in these relationships an idea of need it, got it, can have it. What do they need? What do they got? What can I have? And you have to answer the same questions so that you can get through all the fluff. People don't have time. They don't have time. You can go to all the business schools in the world. Everything comes down to these three questions. What do you need? What do I need? What do you got? What do I got? What can't you have? What can I have? And now we can build the relationship around that. And that leads to what becomes a transformational experience for both of you and the outcomes. And then again, everything is built in integrity and purpose. Everything is built in integrity and purpose. And I have to say, I have a great example of this in my life. And when I started at the Boys and Girls Club, at the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club, the national headquarters was in New York. And they brought this young, vibrant exec into my club. And they said, Frank, we want you to give him a tour. And I said when he walked in, listen, sir, this is the South Bronx. This is the Kips Bay Club. I ain't showing off here. This is how it rolls. There's 400 kids here. My job is to keep them safe. My job is to prepare them so that when they leave here, they're going to do a great job in life. That executive at that time joined our national board. And when he joined the national board, he served there for some 30 plus years. And then I got recruited to the national staff. And that young executive at the time, I developed a transactional relationship that has led to a transformational relationship for over 35 years. That young executive has ushered me and opened up doors that I had never experienced in board meetings and CEO meetings, has sat me down in his office with pieces of paper and giving me direction and guidance. That young board member became somebody that provided me guidance and direction with my career. But that transformational relationship always had the same purpose. How are we helping kids? How are we helping young people? And I can say that now some 30 some odd plus years, I just had dinner with that person. And that person, you know all well, it's the person who birthed this whole organization. And that's Rick Goings. And this is a relationship that now transcends just the work. This is a transformational relationship that we both see tremendous value in. But it all started some 30 plus years ago with a transaction, the ability for me to introduce him to Boys and Girls Club. And this whole experience, some 30 plus years later, I've learned these techniques and tools from great mentors like Kurt and Rick, and my own experiences with influencers and the teams that they work with, to make things efficient, but also to make things relevant for the kids that we serve at Boys and Girls Clubs. So in closing, I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to share some little knowledge that I've had over the last 40 years to help turn relationships into meaningful ones. So all of you have a great conference. Continue. I know you've had great 2 days, but continue that experience. And I look forward to meeting you one day.